I think I got involved like most actors do. I got the call, and interestingly enough, they kind of sold it as the action movie that it is, and I wasn't actually interested. I mean, when I got the first pitch, I thought, it's an action movie. I've done action movies before. And then when they said Martin Campbell, I think that was the magic word. I mean, I heard his name, such an experienced director, someone whose work I really respect. And that's kind of, in that genre, that's what I'm looking for. If I'm going to do it again, I'm going to do it with the best. And Martin Campbell's one of the best. She's a woman with extreme trauma who's sort of was taken in by someone who raised her. She lost her family, and she's sort of trying to cope and deal with her loss throughout the film. So she's, she's making the best of it and really, trying to make it through. There was a lot of physical rehearsal, and then Martin's a big rehearsal guy. He's a really big, so I did a lot of rehearsals with Martin. I did a lot of rehearsals with Michael. And then Sam I didn't get to rehearse with until Romania, until we were on location. But all the prep that we could have done, we did do beforehand. And it's nice when a director is always concerned with that chemistry. Like, what is that chemistry going to be like? What's it going to look like? And if it doesn't look the way we want it right now, let's work towards that. And so we did. We had weeks of rehearsal time before this movie started. I think that the movie in its totality was a challenge for me. I mean, everything, it's sort of like the culmination of everything I've already done in my career, but not at this level, right? So the heightened emotion, the heightened action, all of the complex relationships, the smart romance that kind of goes on in it. There's nothing worse to me than a kind of a dumbed down connection between two people. Like, I want to see really that sort of fireworks chemistry that comes from real intelligence, from two people who are playing a game. That to me is very interesting on screen. And so that this movie definitely had. Well, he's a father figure to her. He's her second father, so she lost her father as a young kid. And so he takes her in and becomes this really role model for her, but it's a little more complex because he's also her partner when she becomes an adult, and they're friends, but there's also this, there's this father-daughter relationship. So it's a really beautiful connection they have, and I'm so glad it was Sam because, I mean, you don't always have connection with people, right? And with Sam, I knew it would be there. And then when we met, it was kind of immediate that we did have this connection in that way. And so, it made, time on set a lot easier because I think that flow was really natural for us. Michael Keaton is a legend. He really is. And, what I loved about their chemistry in this movie is that, it wasn't physical, they're playing a game of wits. And she's highly intelligent, and so is he. And I don't think he's ever met his match in the way that he does with her in this film. And I think that is sort of the crux of their relationship. It's who's going to get ahead of the other and how are they going to do it. And they both know that they're both capable of it. So it's that game, it's that constant game, and you never really know what's going to happen with them until literally the end of the film. Up to the last second, you don't know who's going to make what decision. And it becomes a really exciting type of romance. I hate to even call it a romance. It's better than that, I think. Martin is known for his tentpole movies, these big action, especially the Bonds, right? The Bonds really put him on a map in a very different way. I remember watching Casino Royale and thinking, that's the greatest opening of a film I have ever seen. And being a film person, just knowing that they pulled that off, which is to me, you can't even wrap your head around it. So, in that respect, I knew he brought a lot in the action genre to the film. But what I didn't expect from him was to care so much about these character relationships and character development in the film. The action in this film was really like an afterthought to Martin. It was important, but nothing was more important than how I felt about Sam and how he felt about me and how Michael looked at her and how she looked at him. All of that to him was really the center in which the movie really pivoted around. And for him, it was like, if you don't care about these people, it doesn't matter what fight scene we throw in there. That's entertainment for dummies. We want people to watch this who really want to be challenged by these relationships. And that was the crux of the movie for him. That was everything for him. He was so particular about how we handled these relationships. And that was very surprising to me. I didn't think that was going to matter to him as much as it did. And thank God it did, because when I saw the film, I now realize why Martin took that approach. I cared about everyone in this film. It mattered to me, and everything else was just entertainment. Yeah, I mean, I think that, like, in particular, the relationship between myself and Samuel Jackson's character, he is her mentor, but when you see the friendship, there's something really, it's such a beautiful trigger when you see them together because it's a nice balance, right? You have someone she looks up to, someone she respects, someone who essentially raised her, but you also have someone that she's so comfortable with that she's an open book to. And that, I don't think, would have happened for her if it wasn't him in her life. So he did that for her, you know, without him, and she says it in the movie, you know, she doesn't know what she would have become without his guidance and love and friendship. And then weirdly with Michael Keaton's character, it's sort of a version of, you know, I mean, her daddy issues. She's certainly looks to these older men, and there's this mentorship that goes on no matter what, you know. She's got it with the character who raised her, and she's got it with the character who's pursuing her. And it's obviously a very different vibe, but it's still essentially the same thing. And so it's interesting to see her maneuver those relationships because she maneuvers them very well. It's pretty cool. I didn't expect this movie to be as funny as it is. I mean, you have Michael, who's a brilliant comedic actor, Sam as well. It's so well written. You know, Richard Wank is just, you know, one of the best writers in Hollywood, and you're talking about a great combo. You have a combination of a great script. You have these wonderful talents, and so the comedy's always going to come out. The movie never takes itself too seriously until it's supposed to. You know, when you're dealing with serious themes, you're in it, but when you're having a light moment, you're also in it. And that's very hard to do. You know, those transitions are hard to do, but it happens organically in this movie, and I think that's what excites me the most about it, is that you're gonna have all these experiences within it, and they're all gonna feel authentic. First of all, I mean, as an entertainer, you want people to have fun, for sure. You want them to be wowed. I mean, we do some really great action in this movie, so there's that side of it. But at the same time, these relationships, I really want people to love these relationships because they are very unique in their approach. And I really haven't seen a film with these types of relationships in it in a really long time. I don't know, ever. I mean, there's really like 3 sort of older men and this one younger character that they kind of, like I said, center around. And the dynamic becomes, you know, something you don't really see. There's not many scenarios in scripts in which you have this sort of younger woman who's got these different types of mentors. And Robert Patrick is also in the film as well. So I've got these sort of 3 men that I kind of, you know, move seamlessly through. And the relationships are all different, but it's all kind of in the same vein, if that makes sense. So the asset is about a girl named Anna. I mean, it used to be called Anna, the script. And, you know, it's about her loss as a child and where she moves as a kid into adulthood, who she partners up with, and what her life becomes later. And it is wild. It is a wild ride. Where she comes from and where she's going, but it's also about like these relationships, these great relationships, but also like just kind of confronting her past, which really kind of like comes around in a big circle. And I think all of our lives do eventually, but with this girl, she really gets, her life really kind of smacks her in the face, and she can't hide from it anymore. So it's really about her going back and exploring what that is and what she has to face because of it. But within that, it is a ride. I mean, you've got great, sexy dynamics, relationships. There's a lot of humor in the script, but there's some really pretty heavy themes that do make you think and do, you know, allow you a real emotional experience. I mean, I cried when I watched this film. I really did, because her journey it's harrowing and it's sad, but, you know, you want her to come out. You do. You want her to get out of, you know, the situation she's in, and you know, you'll see if she does or she doesn't, I guess. I have a very high standard, and I don't mean just for other people, for myself. And I think that I've always pushed people for that standard. And I know that there was this one, Michael Keaton and I have a big action sequence in this movie, and I really wanted it to be a certain thing. I wanted it to be, Martin would say, well, you know, if we have to drop this or we have to drop that within the action sequence, you know, we can or we should. And I was like, absolutely not. We're not dropping this. It has to be this way. And I was very, very adamant, and more adamant than he was in getting the action exactly the way I wanted it, which was surprising to me because You would think that it's Martin Campbell, and he's obviously more realistic than I am. I want to get everything, and I want to get it the way I want to get it. And with Michael and her character, there's a lot of charge behind it, and that's really what Martin loved the most. There's even humor in their fight, which is so weird, but it happened, and it happened very naturally. So I would say that I think going in, I certainly was excited to be with this person who had a standard of action that was, I looked up to in such a huge way. But funnily enough, my standard and what I wanted to see out of the action was probably the highest out of anyone who was there. There was a lot of prep, obviously a lot of rehearsals, a lot of different doubles come in and out because, there was just certain things that one could do that others couldn't do in terms of the prep for action. But I have one of the biggest stunts of my career in this movie, and I have to say, there's only been 2 times in my life where I've had fear right before a stunt. Only twice. Once in Die Hard and once in this movie. And that's huge for me because I'm not really scared. Sometimes people have to save me from myself in this genre, but I was able to do stuff that I haven't done in my entire career in this movie. And so for that I'm pretty proud of, with one of the best action directors in the world.
How did I get involved with the asset? Not really sure. The usual processes, I don't think we're at play, but I know Michael Keaton and I have the same agent. So she's constantly trying to put us together. And somehow, some way, she convinced whoever that I would be a good foil for Michael. And it's like most pictures that she arranges for me and Michael, we never see each other anyway. So she just wants us both in the same movie. Well, it's always, scripts about women who kind of take on this crazy, dark, murderous world. Always seem to a particular appeal, for people. Ever since I did Long Kiss Goodnight, I've always thought that women who kick ass are great, and I like to watch it. It's become sort of a normal thing now, but back in the day, it wasn't so much. So going from Gina Davis to Lara Croft to whoever to going to this particular place, someone who's beautiful, dangerous, and lethal, always has an appeal. Wow. I think Moody was in the dark world for a while. So when the Vietnam War was going on, he was over there. So I think Moody was a spook in Vietnam, running around doing undercover ops and all this other stuff. So when he discovers her, it's part of one of those kind of ops. He realizes, it's hard not to realize, that, okay, this is a different kind of child. It's a different kind of person. Some way, somehow, he pulls her into his, world. Even though she was already in it, or she had a capacity for doing, these violent things without even knowing she had the capacity. So he nurtured that part of her, but he also sent her to these great schools and took care of her. Becomes essentially a father figure for her, even in the midst of all the stuff, bad stuff that goes on. And their relationship is pretty solid. He doesn't stay around her very much. He only, sees her when he needs her. Just kind of a cold thing, but it works. Works for them. Works in their world. So he's that guy. He's not necessarily a fixer, but he's a get it done guy. When he discovers her, he knows he's discovered, someone who's special. Somehow, some way, the coldness of who he is or his gamesmanship allows him to pull her in. and take care of her and develop her as an asset, as a smart girl and as a killer. They don't see each other a lot, you know. Once she's got a life of her own, but he's, you know, purchased these things that he knows she wants, or he sees her in her soft world, and he facilitates that too with her library and all the other stuff. Uh, but he has a very eccentric personality outside of the shadow world. Seemingly, when you see his house and you see how he lives and what he's done, um, you find out that there is another side to him also, but he doesn't necessarily do that. But they have a very professional relationship. Uh, that once the professional stuff is done, then he can be sort of a familiar father figure in another kind of way, and they they come together that way. He very seldom um, gives her that soft side, but when he does, he gives it to her, and he is concerned about her, and he has figured out a way to make sure she'll be comfortable when he's not around. I killed like 6 motherfuckers on my way to work with different things, some piano wire, knife, a little pebble, this shit. So I get my head right, so when I got there, I knew what I wanted to do, how to kill someone. I mean, I've watched movies like this my whole life. So, you kind of tie a piece of one character or one guy you've seen in a movie, you tie a piece of another character you've seen in the movie, you put that together with this guy, till you come up with this, person. So you watch enough movies about people like this, you don't necessarily have to go to spy school or killer school to do it. For me, I just cobble together pieces of guys that I've seen in different movies. Some are American, some, mostly Korean and Chinese films. Guys who are assassins, that are very cool assassins. When you want to talk about old assassins, then you start dealing with, the older British guys who were, undercover and doing stuff like that. So you cobble together pieces of them and create a whole person from that. And you show up and hope it works. Martin is kind of he likes the mechanics of what's going on. And he works very hard at making sure that the mechanical aspects of what are happening in the scene are kind of perfect. So that when you move the camera from here to there, the emotional arc of what we're doing fits kind of perfectly in the frame. So he trusts the actors a lot to bring what we bring, so that he can make sure that the physical drama of what the scene is for an audience member can be there. He puts it there. He's done some, amazing films. So for us, to be able to watch him work, or to listen to him as we work, when we rehearse and he wants to see what we're going to do, how he's going to put the camera in the right place to make sure that the audience gets everything that's happening in that particular scene. He's detail oriented, which is great, because I sit at home and pick films apart all the time. It'd be hard to do that in one of his films. I never see Michael in the movies we're in together. I think we've only done one movie where we actually physically talk to each other, or we're in the same frame. One of those times when he shot my ass and I fell down on the floor and he's looking at me. But Maggie was amazing. I've watched her enough on television, in the series, to see her attack all the things she had to do. I mean, among the physical things she had to do, she also had all the psychological baggage she had to carry on, which was amazing to watch. Uh, Robert Patrick, man, that was so funny because the day I came to work and he was there, and I was like, it's Robert Patrick. Like I say, there are actors that you watched that you've always said to yourself, what would I do in a situation like this with that particular actor? And I watched Robert for so long, and it was a joyous occasion to walk up on the set and see him that day. I mean, he greeted me like he'd known me forever, and I pretty much felt the same way. I've watched him work, I've enjoyed it, and now I have, my Robert Patrick moment where I can sit and say, wow, I was in the scene with Robert Patrick. I was Robert Patrick. Awesome. Pretty interesting. Shooting in Romania is an interesting kind of thing, Discovered some okay restaurants that were dope, we went to. I didn't interact with the people too much. We got up, got in the car, we went to work, came back to the hotel, that was it. I mean, at one point it was okay. The weather was fine, we went to sleep, and then woke up and it had turned to Romania. It was like 3-4 inches of snow out there. It's like, hey, what happened? We were supposed to be shooting some Vietnam shit that day. So it was like, okay, I guess we're not shooting that. It's cosmopolitan enough. Like I said, I didn't go out that often. I didn't go anywhere, really. I was in a hotel that had a casino in it. I never even went in the casino. For some reason. I have no idea why. But I never went in the casino. So I can't say, a whole lot about the city other than, it's there. And I think somebody needs some, like, graffiti remover. You could use some of that. You can, it could use a power wash. It's okay. I think there's an ensemble of actors that are doing this film that make it worth seeing. I can't say that, it's something you've never seen before, because it is, but it's being done by some pretty interesting people, and there are some surprising twists, I think, but as entertainment goes, it doesn't get any better than this. And that's why we go to the movies, to be entertained. I do. And there's some wonderful things that happen. There's some wonderful performances. And hey, what else you do? I don't know. You learn to trust cinematographers, as you move through this world, especially ones that you've worked with before that, made you look good, and they know how to, set up a shot and work a camera and make it work and make you look like, you're amazing. Oh, wow. Greatest challenge. The weather was kind of crazy. It kept going in and out, it would rain a bit, and then, kind of washed the snow away, and then the snow got all gray, and we had to do Vietnam, and we had to go to the woods. It was kind of sloggy and messy. It was just, I'd say the weather for me, and sort of like, I was a bit of that location kind of madness, driving, and getting to places, and going to be in big rooms. That was mostly it for me. Yeah, it was a little physically challenging, walking up slippery slopes and doing stuff like that. But otherwise, a movie's a movie. They all have their own inherent problems.
When I first read Richard Wenck's screenplay, I really enjoyed it. I really had fun. I turned the pages, sounds like that's what you usually do in a script, but that's not the case. Sometimes you can set it down, walk around, and come back. This one I went through pretty quickly. It was pretty smart, pretty clever, I thought, and it was an opportunity for me to do something that I hadn't quite done before. Did something similar, maybe in American Assassin, but this is very different. So I was already intrigued, and I enjoyed it a lot, and I was looking forward to shooting it. It became fun. It's hard to describe Rembrandt. He's a mysterious kind of character. What you see isn't always what you get, and then it turns out it's exactly what you get. He's intelligent and realistic in that he totally understands and accepts the world in which he lives, which is, in this picture, a dangerous world. He lives among other assassins. And it was really fun to play. He's very physical, but he only is physical if he absolutely has to be. He just happens to be pretty good at it. Well, Martin does this as well as anybody, if not better than anybody. If you look at some of his film work, especially his action sequences, are just great. And he might be the most organized director I've ever worked with. I've never seen anybody this specifically organized and very clear about what he's shooting, how he's shooting it, why he's shooting it. Open enough, if you have an idea, very secure, and I didn't have the time to take advantage of this. I should have, but he, said, "Come on in when we're all done. Come on in the editing room and tell me what you're thinking." And I didn't get a chance, but I think the movie's good, so I got lucky, I guess. Well, Maggie Q is something to watch in this movie, man. I mean, she's she's very pretty and has these scenes where she's quite feminine, and then she just beats the shit out of a bunch of guys, and it's really fun to watch. I think little young girls are going to enjoy this a lot, and it's fun. The action is fun, and she's so good at it. And you can learn a lot if I haven't done a ton of movies like this. I mean, I was lucky to do well over half my stunts in there, which is always fun because when you're a little kid, this is what you want to do. But there was just stuff that there are stunt doubles who are just better than I am at doing it, and I'd be a fool not to let them shoot some of those shots better than I can. But so there's always something to learn when you're doing stunt work, and it's different for almost every movie where I've had to do stunts. The coordinators all seem to be different, how they approach things, and when you watch Maggie work, she's astute. She's really enjoyable. The stuff between her and Sam Jackson is really fun. Yeah, people love the dinner scene. I like the dinner scene too. The dinner scene with Maggie Q is really fun. It's old-fashioned in the best sense of the word, but also original. And this is where Richard Wenk, I thought the screenwriter really did a really good job. And it's a little bit of a timeout in the movie, very short one from the action, and it comes at the right time. And I think Maggie plays it great. And this is an opportunity for me to, if you can find an opportunity to be a little bit funny, it's always welcome. So it's fairly, it's a witty exchange and dangerous at the same time, and most people see it, think it's a very sexy scene, and it's great. You don't see these kind of scenes a lot in the movies. The thing about this movie, it's a real movie. It's like a big leap of, there's a movie believability in it, and it's enjoyable for that reason. There's things that happen that aren't going to happen in the average person's life, and that's why the average person, like you and I, like to go see these things. So, yeah, she's great. I can't say enough about her, and Sam is always great. The art direction on this is very impressive. I noticed it from the get-go, from the opening scenes. That shot of coming in, we shot it in Romania, and as an example, the prime example was the stuff in Vietnam. when I saw the film, I turned to the person I was with. I said, that is really impressive. You have no idea what that street really looked like, how he recreated that setting. I think he did a great job. There's some really beautiful, beautiful shots, and the dinner scene is really nicely lit, and he did a hell of a job. Given, you know, if you were shooting in Los Angeles or New York, where people are used to movie making, it makes your job a lot easier in every department. And so, shooting in Romania, you know, we didn't have the greatest weather in the world, and I just thought the whole look of it really was impressive. Well, I'll talk about the stunt work in general, because I thought it was so impressive. I'd never worked with these guys before. I think all of them were European. And as I was saying before, all the stunt coordinators I've worked with have their own approach to things. And these guys were really fun. And let's be honest, there's a lot of stuff that there's no way I'm going to look as good as my double or anybody else who does this for a living. So for me, you know, getting to do well over 50% of them, you know, at this point in my life was really fun and hard. So, you know, unfortunately, instead of living a life where you can just eat some pasta every night and sit around and watch television, you're gonna have to cut that back when you read one of these scripts, and part of you goes, "Oh, this would be fun. This would be fun. I haven't done this." And, you know, you're that little kid in you still wants to try to do all these things, and, you know, actually do as many stunts as you can. And the other part of you thinks, "Oh man, that means I'm gonna have to watch how I live and get back in shape again." It was fun, and those guys were terrific. And when I saw the movie, I thought it was seamless from when it was me to when it was them, to my double, and the choreography. And I'm using that word because a friend of mine who saw the movie with me and saw me when we were rehearsing all the stunt scenes used the word choreography, because they were really intricate stunt scenes where you know, unless you are a guy, and that's what you do, like the great action guys, you know, who they have this down because they're living a life of doing it all the time. I do all kinds of movies, and so, but it was an interesting experience to have to really learn literally the choreography of it, and it was fun. It was really challenging. I found it hard just to, you know, through the rehearsal for it. You think you're in good shape, and you go home after the first night and you go, "Man, I'm really sore." And then, you know, you start to get used to it. And, but the difficult part of it, more than anything, besides just physically, you know, getting thrown around and, you know, trying to be good at looking like you can actually beat these guys up when you know that's not the case. It was the most difficult part of it. Probably was really learning the choreography, which was really detailed. The scene in the kitchen was a particularly fun one. It's brutal, you know. My character, Rembrandt, is he's badass in that scene. And the good news is, most of that, once you know you go through the crack, through the window and roll on the floor and get up, has to be me, has to be you, because the way it was shot there, you know, I don't have a real big macho problem with saying this guy does this for a living, he's going to look much better than them. We shoot him right, let him do it. But sometimes you can't, which is fun because it's scary to see if you could still pull it off, you know. And I love doing that scene. You know, I don't want to give too much away, but because it's really really well done. That was really choreographed, maybe a little more than the others, but they all were. But everybody had to be obviously in the right place at the right time. Otherwise, somebody's A, going to get really hurt, and B, it's just not going to work. You're not going to believe the scene. And those guys, I can't say enough about how good they were about their planning and their choreography, and then their execution. You know, I mean, it's always so much fun to be able to pick a bad guy up, throw him across the room or something, knowing that in real life couldn't even pick up his cat, probably. Yeah, I'm going to repeat myself, I know, but there's no way around it. All of these were really difficult to stage. It took a lot of time. So not only did we prepare months in advance, then once you're on the set, there's always those there are always those obstacles that you hadn't counted on, because now you're actually on the set. You're not on a taped out studio floor or something like that. So there's always obstacles, and once we had to work through those, and now I'm remembering there was a particularly difficult point of that where it had to work out just right at the right time in order for that glass to break properly. And then the scene, when you read it, you went, oh, this is a very cleverly written scene. This is a good scene, smart, funny, sexy, and all that. But it doesn't work if the physical part of it doesn't work. I mean, the stunt part of it doesn't work, and then it heightens the sexiness of it and the kind of silliness of it. The great fun silliness of it. That's fun seeing people like that one too. Yeah, that was one of the nice things about this script that Richard Wenk wrote was this relationship is a complex one. It evolves. So what happens is, at first it's just a job, and it looks like I'm just going to show up and I've got this well in hand, because Rembrandt's done this kind of thing a lot. Basically gets hired to come in and be the cleanup man, and do whatever he has to do to make sure the job gets done. So he realizes real early, because he's very intelligent and his instincts are really good, when he sees some of the damage she's done, he thinks to himself, oh, this is going to be harder for everybody than they thought. Because they kind of think, this will be easy, we'll just take her out. And I realize, they don't realize who they're dealing with. So I'm intrigued by that. Rembrandt is intrigued by that. And then he's attracted to her. And, he can kind of compartmentalize those two things. And then it becomes more and more difficult for him to compartmentalize them, because then he'd like to see this thing probably go into another level. So already it's not a relationship you see a lot in movies like this, which made it fun for me. Well, it was fun. It was hard. Most movies, if you're trying to make them as best you can, are hard. and you don't want to phone it in. So when I say it's hard, it's not hard like working in a coal mine, but it was hard physically, because it's not the kind of thing, as I said, it's not the kind of movie that I make. I make all kinds of movies. I make movies where I play anything but this kind of guy. So just getting used to that, shooting day after day after day, was hard but fun. And you run into obstacles filmmaking that it's just going to be how it is. And as I said before, if you shoot in certain places where they shoot a lot of movies, the infrastructure's there. And when you shoot in places where there's not as much movie making infrastructure, and then when you add Martin Campbell to the mix, Martin Campbell just knows how to do this stuff. He's just got this down. And that makes it easier on you. I really enjoyed shooting in Bucharest. I found the people really nice, and you always learn something when you go to another country. So the experience was really fun.
So my character is Peter. He's the lieutenant of frightening mobster of Bucharest, and my character is a problem solver. We could say it like this. It's always in action and taking care of things. He's very sure of himself, a lot of self-confidence. He's in the big business with big money and big killings and everything, and nothing, those kind of guy, nothing can happen to me. I'm in control, I'm protected, I protect people, I juggle with people's lives. I'm a joker in a way, and the Joker does everything, but I'm a frightening one. It's a lot of action in my part and a lot of physical action, and I was thinking about the fact that I have to be very to control my body language all the time, and this was an important part. And working with Martin Campbell was, for me, a wonderful experience, because he's such a detail seeker, and he's paying attention, and he pays attention to a lot of details in every scene. And this is somehow, I was taught in theater to seek the devils in the details, and the details can change everything, can change a scene, can change a part, can change a character. So it was, for me, the kind of director who never lets you go, and he's always in control over what you're supposed to do, and he's in control of what he has to ask from you, so you can deliver a great performance, or a good performance, or an appropriate performance, to say it like this. So this was a very important meeting for me, and I'm very happy I'm part of this movie, and I'm very happy I'm part of this movie in the first 20 minutes, so I'm sure people will see me. So this is a great experience. The world's connected nowadays, so it's incredibly connected. So this opportunity for actors to be cast and to play in international movies, in blockbusters, and this is an amazing experience and a learning experience that you couldn't have had like 20 years ago. So this all tax incentive thing I think it's good. It's good it happened. It fortunately happened late, but it's good it's on. So it's always an opportunity to exchange and to learn from what were the chances to meet Martin Campbell otherwise. Probably smaller chances.
We chose Romania, one, because it's a terrific place, but number two, the tax breaks are very good here for filming. They have a very good film infrastructure, very good people here, very good crew here. We have a lot of Romanian crew. I'd seen a film production, I think years ago, called The Hatfields and McCoys, which with Kevin Costner, which they'd shot here, which looked terrific. It was actually a very good series. The film is actually set in, there's a scene in Romania, for Romania, there's a scene in London, and then we're in Vietnam. And a lot of our interiors are being done here for Vietnam. And we found everything we need, quite frankly, obviously we have a production designer who will make all the interiors feel like we're in Vietnam, but we did find great locations to cover. I've been here 2 months looking for locations. Our crew has been here for probably the same time. The film is mainly set in Vietnam. There's a little bit in London. I think we're shooting 2 days in London, but the rest of it is Vietnam. So all the locations are supposed to be in Vietnam. Now, Vietnam, particularly Saigon, has French architecture, of course, because it was very much a French colony for so many years, and of course your architecture, I think they call it Little Paris, don't they? Isn't that what they once called it? So there's a lot of French architecture here. So all our interiors for Vietnam are being done here. But now we're going to go to Thailand, because there are certain things that Thailand gives us that Vietnam can't give us. So we're going to Thailand to shoot really about a week, I think, over there for the exteriors. But as I said, all the interiors are being done here. We have a great production designer who is going to make it all look like Vietnam. But The buildings on the whole are absolutely beautiful. I noticed they're renovating some of them. I mean, there's a lot of empty buildings, quite interesting. And there are a lot of empty, beautiful buildings, and there are a lot of buildings that are being remodeled and restored, I think, to what they were. They're magnificent, and we're actually using some of those, of course, as I think any film company coming here. The city's very cooperative. I think every location I've wanted, I think we have, which is pretty remarkable, because so often in cities, you want certain locations, and there are restrictions, and there are problems, and there's all of this. We haven't really encountered that here. Well, we chose the actors because they're damn good. That's why. You just get the best actors for the job. We've got Michael Keaton, who's one of the best actors there is. Obviously, everything from his early days as Batman to Birdman. I mean, terrific actor. We've got Maggie Q, who is terrific. She's a certain part Vietnamese. She's also a very good fighter. She's a very good martial arts fighter. And of course, Sam Jackson, he's probably done about 140 films, so you could not get anybody better than Sam Jackson. They're coming from America, but we're using Romanians to have a whole scene set in Bucharest. And they're all Romanian actors, and they will be speaking Romanian. And there are other parts as well, because some of them speak good English, so I'm using them in some of the smaller parts. As actors, their auditions have been terrific, so I'm sure they'll be great. It's a great place for shooting a thriller movie. I mean, look, you go right back to The Third Man, right? With Orson Welles, one of the most famous British thrillers ever, right? And that could have been shot here in Bucharest, right? It could have been shot here. It's a marvelous city for that, because you've got all the classic old buildings, you've got modern, you've got all of that. And you have outside of Bucharest, you have these wonderful forests and, as I say, lakes and so forth. So, it's got everything. And for a thriller, it couldn't be more perfect. I think it's the people, very hard working. We've got a terrific crew. We have a lot of Romanians. They're all very good, right? Which was a surprise to me. I suppose it was my lack of knowledge. But you go to a country like Romania. I've never been here before. I've never even thought about it. But actually, and you automatically think, well, the crews are probably not going to be up to scratch. They're not going to be. It's good, but they are. They're very much up to international standards. I don't know what everything is with superheroes now. We're all used to it. Franchises, and they're okay. I mean, they're very successful. They do big business and so forth. But if you look at a film like the last Mission Impossible, it's a terrific film. It's a great film. The action is fantastic. It's imaginative. That for me is what a real action film is all about. And that's what Bond's about. Bond's an action film. It's what it is. And there's a lot of great action in it. And it doesn't necessarily rely on CGI and great CGI effects and so forth. So for me, those kind of movies for me are and will always be the best action films.
The way I got involved in the project was through Millennium Media. Millennium Media is the production company of the movie, and they are one of the largest independent producers of film working today and really working ever. Very famous for their action movies all over the world. They've been in business a very long time. And I'm working with them now for many years. I'm their head of production at Millennium. So that was my entrance into the film, was through the company. It's a wonderful script written by a very talented writer who's worked with Millennium, our company, before, Richard Wenk. Richard Wenk Previously, I had written a movie called 16 Blocks, which was a successful movie, directed by Richard Donner and starring Bruce Willis. So it had a nice writer already attached, and reasonably early on, the attachment came also with Martin Campbell, and the chance to work with a director of that caliber was very, very exciting. A few reasons. The biggest, of course, is the tax credit. There's a very good state aid here that we're taking a benefit of and is helping us make the movie. But beyond that, Bucharest is, you know, a large international city, gives us a lot of options for architecture, and it has a sort of French style, which is useful for this script. And there's crew, there's everything we need, so it worked out very well. Martin is great. He runs the set with an iron fist. He is a very old school director, and what I mean by that is he is very decisive, very direct, and he knows exactly what he wants, and he's not shy about anything, and everybody's job is to just keep up with him. He's got a huge amount of energy. He's there before anybody else on set planning his shots. He's extremely well prepared. He's thought about everything he's doing before he does it. You know, he's a commander, like a proper military style commander on the set. And everybody's on board for the ride, and it's great. It's really terrific to watch someone like Martin work. He's got terrific instincts. A pleasure. Samuel, we at Millennium have worked with Samuel Pryor a few times actually. He's in the Hitman's Bodyguard movie, so we knew Sam and have worked with him before, so we know how great he is, and he is terrific. He's a wonderful actor, again, very prepared, knows the script backwards and forwards, doesn't just remember his lines, he knows every little aspect about what he's doing, why he's doing it, what the character would do, and he's a professional, and he's a movie star, and it's a really good combination. Mr. Keaton, yeah, Michael Keaton I haven't worked with prior to this. That was a real pleasure for me to watch him work. He's a very organic actor. He likes to do a lot of takes, and each take really builds into a better and better and better performance. He worked really, really well with Martin Campbell, our director, to sort of find the character and work through the scenes. He's great on camera with Maggie, our other lead. There's a lot of chemistry there. He's very funny, he's very playful. And again, you know, he's just a terrific movie star to get a chance to work with. He elevates the project on every level. I mean, more than anything, fun. I wanted people to enjoy the film on a visceral level. It's an action spy assassin movie. It's a little bit of escapism, and it's a good time. It's exciting. It's cool. You know, we have a really cool cast of characters. They look great. They all sound great. They're saying cool words. They're doing cool stuff. People should have a good time with this movie. It should be fun. It should be a fun film. I think it is. The toughest part for us was probably the weather. And I say that knowing how lucky we really got. So much of what we're shooting here is meant to be in Da Nang, Vietnam. And of course, we're in Bucharest in the winter. So things could have been worse for us, but we had one night right before a major exterior shot of Vietnam, our big street scenes with our markets and our vendors and motorbikes and bicycles and extras and people and animals, and we had pigs and chickens and geese. And the night before it snowed about 1.5 feet. And so everything, of course, the next morning was covered in snow. It still looked a little bit like Vietnam, but covered in snow, it wasn't going to work. So we had a big schedule change on that day, and we had to find other things to do, which we did. But that was the moment where our luck broke just for a moment, and we had to figure it out. But other than that, we've been very, very fortunate.
On set, we have around 200 people. The crew is made from 200 people. Out of it, we have 120, 30 Romanians. We have around 50 Bulgarians. We have Australians, a couple of them. New Zealand guy who is Martin Campbell, everybody knows. We are having, I think, French guys. Yes, we have 3 of them. We are having Kazakhstanis even. We have 10 to 15 stunts coming and going from Kazakhstan. We are having stunts from Thailand. So, and I hope I said all the countries. I believe that's all. Yeah, we needed cats. And we needed cats who are doing stuff which we would like to do, but you know cats. Cats are doing what they want. You cannot behave cats. So we have to find someone. We found somebody near Bucharest having 2 of them, the same. The lady came with them. And it happened to be good. The cats were behaving nice. Also, we had to bring a cow. So we brought the cow, and we had to bring the cow in the studio at the first floor. How to bring the cow to the first floor? With the elevator, of course. So it was very interesting for the crew to see the cow in the elevator. Regarding snow, originally our plans, of course, we are in Romania, shooting in Romania. During the winter, during January, during February, that in theory should mean a lot of snow. So, of course, we are doing plans, we are buying all kinds of machines to blow the snow, to clean. We bought even salt and, and in the end was no snow. And it was surprisingly first that we have no snow in January. It was like almost like October weather, unbelievable weather. I was, telling everybody in the prep, guys, it's going to be minus 20 degrees. It's going to be snow, 1 meter snow. I wanted everybody to know the reality of Romania. And now, after this January and February, everybody is laughing. Gabi, are you sure about that snow, or you had just to scare us? So, yeah. After January, when we didn't get snow, we started to feel secure about it. And what to see, one night during the shooting, we got snow. And it was just before shooting exteriors on the street. And then we have to change the schedule. We have to postpone it for a week. It was a little bit of a hassle. But in the end, we pulled it off. And in the day when we did the night shooting on the street, they were like 3-4 degrees, which was perfect for a Vietnam shoot. Right now, behind me, the crew is shooting a very, very heavy scene, a very complicated scene. It's complicated because the scene involved a lot of water. The sprinkles, according with the script, has to pour water on the cast, on the crew, on everybody. And we are struggling with that right now. We are struggling in the same time we are working with guns and with munition. In the same time, of course, we have electricity all over the stage. It's pretty tough organizational wise, and it's a little bit, it's not dangerous because we took all the measurements, but it's not a normal shooting. It's pretty tough and hard for the crew. Think that you have to stay all day with the water pouring from the ceiling and to shoot and to do your job and to do the focus and to do whatever you need to do on the stage, to do the makeup, it's pretty hard. Martin Campbell, I have to say, is the best director I ever worked with. He's the most experienced one, he's the most precise one. Pardon the other directors, sorry, but this guy, it's the best one I worked ever. The guy knows exactly what he has to do. He's very precise in what he has to do. He's I think the perfect director. I'm in love with him. I don't find it difficult to work with Martin. As soon as, because what's happening? Being very precise, you understand very well as a producer what do you need to provide and how you have to provide. And then it's no room for any discussions later, you know. You got exactly you are providing what you were asked, and we never had a discussion. I'm telling you what I like the most. There are few members of the crew who are doing movies for a while. It's Moshe Diamant, the producer. It's Martin. It's Wolf, the production designer. It's Bruce, the first AD. There are so many things to learn from those guys. I'm so grateful that I'm in this project, so I had a chance to learn a little bit from each of them. And for me, it's a good opportunity. I'm very happy with it. Regarding locations, we are shooting in very, let's say, known places for Romanians, at least, very known places, which we transform in, I will give you examples. Snagov Palace, Ceausescu Snagov Palace. We transform it in a rich guy compound in Vietnam somewhere. So we are able to turn all those interiors to dress them to look like Vietnam, to look colonial. And we really did that, and nice. We were shooting in, we are going to shoot actually, we didn't shoot in Ceausescu's house. We got there. It's not easy to get permissions for that. We were able to solve it. As I told you before, we are very lucky with the weather. We had no snow, we had good temperature, all fine. We had this street I told you about, we found it, then we had to fill it with set dressing, we had to fill it with cars, with scooters. We had around 60 scooters, we had 5-6 cars. Actually, it was Vietnam 87. So everything had to be period. We even brought from Vietnam stuff, you know, all kind of small pieces and bits of those Vietnamese hats. We brought them from Vietnam. And then we had to bring Asian-looking people. We are in Romania. It was not easy to find them because we had around 200 extras on that street in that night. So for a night, we had all those people and cars and scooters, and it was really looking like a busy street from Vietnam, from Asia, let's say. It was brilliant. We had luck, and we've done it there in that factory built in 30s, as I told you.